Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. We're back with our weekly crypto news with Michael, who's head of all our written research over at the website platform. So, Michael, it's great to see price recover and Bitcoin tapping all-time highs again.
Yep, it's always fun to come on and chat blockchain when when the charts are agreeing with us.
Yeah, and like we spoke about last week, it's like it's still a healthy mix of sentiment of people that are really bullish and people that think the top's in and they've sold, and yeah, perfect ingredients I think for things to continue.
Well, I mean, I think a bit of nuance is healthy, but I think more signs are pointing to more positivity than to negativity. So we can launch straight in and sort of figure out exactly where we sit in the scheme of things as a community. But obviously, we've sort of tapped that 110 again. We've had a slight little come down. But the one that I'm watching and the one that I really want to focus on is Ethereum at the moment. So I'll get to that shortly. Um, but I guess the main thing, we start to get news articles again. So Bitcoin soars above 110. People start talking about it again. I think the thing that is shocking me the most right now, and you'll know this after being around for a few cycles, is how weird it feels just to have such mainstream media talking like Bitcoin. I'm still not used to it.
Yeah, I mean, not that I consume much mainstream media these days, but you can kind of get that secondhand when friends start telling you, or your mum or dad says, "Oh, Bitcoin was on ABC again" or something. So it's like, yeah, it's just become almost a norm, accepted part of most people's lives now.
There was a short period there when we're all in lockdown in Australia where Channel 7 was putting the Bitcoin price on, like the nightly news. And then after it pulled back, they took it off. But like that's the type of thing, the world that we're going to live in, where it'll be like, news sport where the finance and just Bitcoin price just becomes part of the reporting. And it was already been there before, so you can only imagine where it's going to go.
Yeah, exactly. And some of that mainstream media is dying a slow death. I saw the project got cancelled in Australia.
We all shed a tear.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Well, the one thing that I guess the con that comes associated with this added attention is we've noticed that there's been a lot more crypto kidnappings, which have started to pop off. Um, CoffeeZilla, which is a pretty interesting channel for those that don't know, he loves to do his deep dive. I think sometimes he can be more negative to the blockchain industry than positive, but he loves to go after the scams. But reporting that there's been an increased spike in the types of they're calling them screwdriver attacks
Mm.
where your Bitcoin's getting hacked because the screwdriver's getting held to your throat.
Yeah.
Um, so it might just be one of the point where we all become self custodians that maybe we are a little bit more cautious in our evangelizing and just
Yeah.
making sure there's some
I guess
safety
I just wanted
precautions.
to say that we're sort of getting towards that part of the cycle where you're starting to see more people brag on, social media, how much money they're making. And I don't know about you, but if you're looking around the cities at the moment, there's a lot of riots and chaos and cost of living, and that means crime rises and stress rises. And if you're out there on social media bragging about how much money you're making and stuff, you're just putting a target on your back. So again, guys, be sensible and aware of all this stuff.
I Most people know I spend most of my time in Bali, and there was a couple of Russians that were deported late last year because there was literally like a GTA style two cars pull in front of one car, one blocks off, one pulls up behind, they both get out with weapons, dragged someone out of a car, chucked him in the boot, and drove off. And literally, it was because they were trying to rob his crypto, and so they got deported out of the country because that stuff just doesn't happen in Indonesia. So
Mm,
yeah,
crazy.
proceed with caution. All right. Well, to shift to the Ethereum sort of lane, the SEC had a roundtable this week, and this is again just the sign of the times that defining the American spirit, coming out just max bullish on effectively saying that DeFi is the American dream. Like this is just incredible. Like the pivot that's gone on here. Um, Effectively saying that stablecoins are going to be the reason that the US dollar retains its dominance, and this is the rails that it's going to do so. Um, and the fact that they're now like talking about like staking is going to be allowed inside the ETFs. None of these protocols, whether it's a validator or like a staking mechanism or running nodes, like none of these count as security type sort of measures. Yeah, this is big. This is a big pivot. And the fact that this is all coming out of an SEC roundtable discussion and they're speaking on this, yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah, we've come a long way from trying to explain to regulators what crypto is and how to tax it to they're going all in on DeFi. But again, I'm cautious about this play of them trying to usher in stablecoins as the central bank digital currency control grid, versus obviously being very pro actual DeFi and decentralizing finance and encouraging innovation. Good for US based projects and US regulated projects and all that type of thing as well.
Well, I'll actually just go out of order of my slides, which I was going to say, which I was going to do for today, because I was actually going to share like some of the biggest protocols that will probably benefit from this inside the DeFi scene. And like an anecdotal like story right now is that I've just logged on to Sky.money, which is the former MakerDAO
Yeah.
protocol. And I've just logged on to get the website here so I could show it for today's episode, and it blocked me because I had a VPN on. So when you're talking about probably heading in the wrong direction, like I didn't love that. That's
No.
weird.
And we've spoken a lot about how Maker have pivoted so far away from their initial vision. So yeah, not really a fan of this project anymore.
No, neither. Um, so Joseph Lubin, who's one of the founders of Ethereum, he runs Consensus, which builds out the MetaMask application and a whole bunch of other sort of RPC and type ETH integrations. Have just they're trying to do the Michael Saylor. So they've bought this, I guess, shell company. I think it has some sort of revenue still. It's a gaming company, but effectively they're going to have Michael Saylor style ETH reserves. So starting out with 425 million. This is going to get very interesting. He was on the Bankless podcast this week saying actively that he's going to become very loud and very evangelical when it comes to his with his evangelizing of Ethereum now. He wants to be the Ethereum Michael Saylor.
Yeah, and obviously called Sharply Gaming. How much is this going to benefit? Immutable X. Some of the ETH gaming projects, ETH Layer 2 gaming chains, and does it all tie in to help that whole gaming side of the ecosystem as well as ETH itself?
Well, these guys are like I think specifically sports betting. So it could be like a like they've got revenues there apparently still that they have some sort of link into sports betting. So I know Michael Saylor's company is maybe not well known for its actual software business and the revenues they derive there. And I don't know what this business's revenues are like, but yeah, this treasury reserve model is all the rage right now.
Well, there is some decent quality projects in the sports betting space on ETH. Like Zed Run with the horses. Back in the
Yeah.
day, we had Olga with the prediction market. So again, it's pretty cool to see.
So Jeremy Alia as well is on Twitter. So those who don't know, he is the CEO of Circle, which is the parent company of USDC, talking about how they've hit the stock market. So again, this is the merger of TradFi and like of DeFi of blockchain based projects. So again, just another integration. People could go and buy like stocks now that will have crypto revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, super interesting. Um, so obviously moving away from Sky, MakerDAO, which I was not a huge fan of, Aave is still the other probably big one that's going to benefit here a lot. I think their token ripped this week. And obviously Uniswap as well, because these are all American based DeFi applications. And if they're going to get greenlit, like you can see that these tokens are going to probably do a fair bit. I think they've all put on like double digit gains like in the last 48 hours. But even Uniswap is still something like 4x off of its all-time high. So interesting one. I'll watch the space on these projects, but I think that there'll be like a bit of a trade here.
Yeah, and they now that we've got this like regulatory background favorable for DeFi in the US, I think these again it's just the largest ones in that sector that are now going to be looked at as blue chip and the safest bet, which is kind of that theme we've seen this cycle.
Yeah, when I was doing some research for the week and trying to think about what I wanted to talk about, the theme really is like mainstream adoption and mainstream integration. And so the other one, I guess, a bit more of like a bit more of a speculative play that I'm still looking at is Mythos. So this is one of the Polkadot parachains. They're a gaming chain, and you can see here like only 129 million market cap, 162 fully diluted. But the reason why it's interesting because this week they've just launched or are just about to launch a FIFA backed game. Um, and this was all over the FIFA website as well. So it's a mobile game that has inbuilt NFTs inside the game, but they don't call them NFTs. People don't know that they're NFTs. But this is probably going to be like very mainstream as far as like for all the football soccer fans out there. Especially seeing that it's FIFA branded and FIFA running because they already do have an NFL branded version. And the NFL branded version has actually got them as the fourth most used chain when it comes to NFT volume. Again, and they don't even call it NFTs. People don't even know that they've got a crypto wallet inside these games.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good find. And as we've been talking about, we need to get to the stage where people don't know that they're using NFTs. And NFTs have probably still got a bit of a dirty name from last cycle and just how oversaturated everything got and how big the bubble got. So yeah, I like that it's hiding in the background of a normal app for the average consumer.
yeah, you've got these guys that are trading like card-based players and they can level them up and all that sort of stuff. So all the traditional gaming stuff, but just off of their NFL game, these guys also have a Pudgy Penguins branded game. So between Pudgy Penguins, NFL, and FIFA, like got some pretty strong brands, and like for only 100 million market cap, it's the one that I'm watching.
Nice.
Um, the other one, which is interesting here, is that X has partnered with Polymarket. So again, another on-chain prediction market. Um, that's pretty big. Like I think that the technocracies of Facebook and like X are going to get blocked from having their own stable coins and their own like direct DeFi applications. But partnerships like this is probably the way that the big monolith tech companies will get into the space as well.
Yeah, and I guess Polymarket grew to fame around the election and how accurately they predicted it versus the mainstream polls and that type of thing. So yeah, that's very cool to see.
Yeah, so it's like obviously like as a bit of interesting like revelations when you watch the space about how like integrated things are getting. And so obviously, we're not much of a research team just to say go buy Bitcoin and buy ETH. There's obviously a lot more opportunity out there besides that, but I think the meta is changing. Um, there's probably a bit more risk on appetite, and some of these really good fundamental businesses, like what we're just showing with your Mythoses and your Poly markets, are going to get real integration. So we'll keep looking for these types of mainstream plugins as they try and sort of hit that blue chip territory.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, just to mention quickly for our crypto audience that tends to be pretty open minded, is that more and more people are growing aware of like, do I want to get a Solana phone or a non Google phone? How do I protect my money through DeFi or getting away from the banks and all this sort of thing. So I think the direction the world's heading in with this technocracy, it's like we have this good set of decentralized principles we want to stick to, and this other complete control grid that's coming. So I think all this is going to tie into be how to be a good crypto investor and protect your wealth and survive as times gets tough, as we continue to see all these big riots and clashes around European and American cities now, and probably coming to Australia soon as well.
Unfortunately, yeah,
Mm.
watch this space. It's not just about making money. There's also like an ethos and a movement behind this about freedom and self sovereignty.
Absolutely. Well, guys, head over to nuggetsnews.com.au to sign up for the free newsletter or all our crypto research or our high net worth services. But other than that, Michael, we'll chat to you again next week. Cheers.